Hi guys, welcome back to the Cupcake Jemma channel with me, Dane, and we're here at the Wandsworth Bakery in London. And today I'm going to show you a really special recipe which I've been working on for a little while, and you guys have been requesting it for so long since I last did them, and it's for pistachio macarons. They're going to be a nice bright green shell with ground pistachios in it, and it's filled with a French buttercream flavored with pistachio paste, which you will have seen from the previous video, which I made with my own hands, no store-bought here, and it's absolutely delicious. So I just want to say before I go ahead, I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's macaron, not macaroon. They're different things. We did coconut macaroons. If you want to go search for those, Sally made them. They're absolutely delicious, but that's not what I'm making today. Just want to point that out. And secondly, I just want to say, I hope by the end of this video I can instill some confidence in you. If you're finding macarons a little bit daunting, I hope that by the end of this video, you'll be able to make them with ease along with me. So, first things first, I'm going to ground some pistachios in the food processor. I've got these really nice ones that I ordered online. They're already peeled and they are a little bit greener than your regular pistachios that you get in the store. So I'm just going to pop these into the food processor, and I've got 110 grams. And we'll just blitz them until they're a really fine breadcrumb. These are ready. They're nice and fine, and this is what they look like. So like a really fine, kind of bitty breadcrumb. And next thing we're going to add is how you would make just regular pistachios, macarons, these are pistachio ones, is some icing sugar and ground almonds. And you can find all of the quantities of these in the description box below. And if you want the full written recipe of these pistachio macarons with some beautiful pictures, then you can head over to our bake club. You can find it at patreon.com/CupcakeJemma. Join there, it's amazing. So I'm going to blitz these up till they're the same consistency as the pistachios for about 17 to 18 pulses I'm going to go for. These are ready, and it's already looking a little bit green with these pistachios in there. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is sieve this mixture just to get rid of any really large lumps. So there's a few little bits of pistachio in there. Don't worry, that won't make too much of a difference to the recipe. So we're just going to discard those, put those to the side. And you've got this powdery almond icing sugar pistachio mix, which we're going to add our egg whites to. This will make a paste, and it's the base of our macarons. So I've got 2 lots of egg whites here. You need a total of 144 grams, which is about 4 to 5 large eggs split into 2. So I've got 72 grams and 72 grams. Just thought I'd clarify that because sometimes you guys ask, is it this or is it that? 2 lots of 72 grams. 1 is going straight in here. And then I'll mix this with my spatula just till it forms a paste. And you'll start to see that the pistachios are making this mixture quite a nice green already. It's kind of like a mossy green, which is absolutely gorgeous on its own. But when you add the egg whites in, the meringue, which you'll see I'm going to do in a few moments, you need something to keep that colour. And so I'm going to add a little bit of food colouring to this paste as it is. So just look at that green colour. That is literally pistachio green, right? I mean, what's more pistachio than actual pistachios? Nothing else. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently. In previous videos where I've coloured the macarons, I've just coloured the whole batch. But what I'm going to do is actually just take a little bit out, only a tiny bit, and I'm going to colour that separately. So colouring macarons, colouring kind of anything, apart from chocolate, you want to use like oil colours. I always tend to go for paste colouring because it's not too runny, it doesn't alter the consistency that much, and it's a really great choice. So I've got here some colourings by Sugar Flare. These are great paste colourings. And I've got 2 different colours here which I'm going to mix. And I'm going to use mint green because that will amplify the green colouring. And you'll see that I'm adding quite a lot, literally like this much, to this amount of paste. And I might even add a tiny bit more, because when you add the meringue, it's really going to dilute that colouring and you want it to stay nice and green. Then on top of that, because I already stopped the lid for that, because the pistachios are kind of a earthy, mossy colour, as I mentioned before, I need something to kind of tone down the green. So I'm adding this color called caramel/ivory, and that will kind of give that neutral green color. And again, quite a hefty amount of that. So you need to add quite a lot to get a concentrated amount. So I'm just going to mix this through here. And what I'm doing is just pressing it against the side of the bowl just to really mix it through. Now, because it's super dark, you're not going to be able to like gauge too much on the color that you need, the resulting color that you'll get in the macaron mixture. But what I do is just, because this is really dark, so I scrape it against here, and the kind of residual liquid that you get on here is kind of the resulting color you can imagine of what you'll get in the final mixture. I think I've added enough coloring to this now, and it's really, really dark, but this will translate to a really nice kind of mossy green color. I keep saying moss, but it's like moss, okay? But like pistachios. So I'll just add all of this paste to here, and then give it a really good mix around. That's all mixed in. Once you can see no more bits of almond, like white icing sugar bits, you're done. Stop mixing. We'll leave this to one side and we'll get on with the meringue. So I've got the other half of my egg whites, 72 grams, going straight into my mixer bowl, which I've already pre-cleaned with some vinegar and just some kitchen roll. Wipe it round to just make sure it's free of any grease, because that will affect your egg whites whipping up. If we move on over here, I've got a saucepan on the hob ready for 190 grams of caster sugar to go in and 60 milliliters of cold water. And that's going to go on to a medium-high heat. Give it a little swirl so all the water is incorporated. And we'll bring that up to about 110 degrees, and then we'll start whipping the egg whites. It's important to get this part kind of correct so that your egg whites aren't too over-whipped and your syrup doesn't go over 118 degrees, which is what we need it to reach. So we'll turn this on and get started. This has reached 110 degrees, so now it's time to start whipping the egg whites. Full speed, and if you can have the mixer really close, that is handy because you'll need to kind of go back and forth and see them. So we want to whip this until it's kind of really foamy, but not super stiff and not super bubble bathy is what I'm going to describe it as. I've kept on heating the sugar syrup and it's reached 118 degrees, which now means it's ready to pour into the egg whites. So I'm going to pour it down the side of the bowl, not touching the whisk, and it's on a high speed. Wicked, that's all in. And you'll notice I've poured it in a really steady, thin stream in one place. Because like when I made the French buttercream, as you might have seen already, if you pour it kind of and it goes on the whisk, it will splatter everywhere and you'll just get these wispy bits of sugar, which then you'll incorporate into the meringue and it will make the mixture a bit lumpy. So we'll just leave this whipping until it's nice and cool, kind of room temperature, for about 5 minutes. The meringue is ready. It's nice and thick and glossy, which is what it should be, and it's got a really nice structure to it, which is why it's essential to whip the egg whites until they're not too stiff, but also not too bubble bathy and foamy, because then they're not structurally sound to kind of take the sugar syrup and cook it and make it this really nice, thick, glossy meringue. So now it's time to add it to the almond and icing sugar mixture. And pistachios. So we'll add a little bit in just to start with, just to kind of make it easier to fold the whole mix in so that we're not knocking out all of the air that we've just made in this meringue. And you can be quite vicious with this, just give it a really good beat around just to get that combined. And you'll already see it, this colour is starting to lighten, so our resulting mixture will just be a lighter shade of what we have now. So that's all mixed in, and then we'll just incorporate the rest of the meringue half by half. So 1 spoonful in, and the way that we're going to fold this is kind of scoop around and then cut through in the middle every so often. So scoop and cut, scoop, scoop and cut. Time for the last spoonful. And This is why it was really important to pour the sugar syrup in one stream in the bowl, because you can see I've just got that one stream, and then here in the middle of the bowl, it's already gone into the meringue. So if you'd have had all that sugar whipping around here, you would have found it really hard to scrape all of the meringue mixture from the bowl. And we want to incorporate everything that we've made, so we're going to miss a thing. So we'll keep on folding, and some people say fold it 50 times, you'll get the perfect texture, but really it just does depend on in the moment. This could take me another 10 folds until I've reached the perfect texture, which I will show you how it should be, kind of like a lava consistency, which I know is hard to imagine because if you've never been near a volcano, but you've maybe watched the documentary channel, you might know what it looks like. It's a nice pourable consistency. We don't want it running away from us, but we want to make sure all of the white from the meringue is mixed in. And I think that's about there. Let's give it a test. So I'm just going to lift this up and drop it down onto here, and it should ribbon nicely. And if we leave it for about 10-15 seconds, you'll see all of these bits of ribbon of the mixture kind of fold into the mixture and make it smooth, but not quite. You can still see a few of the lines. So I'm going to give it a couple more folds and it will be there. That is ready. Perfection. So you don't want to keep mixing it anymore, or else you'll overmix and then your macarons might not rise. And if you undermix it a little bit and they don't come out correctly, it's probably better to undermix than overmix, because then you'll kind of, you'll still get a foot, but it might be a little bit chunky and a little bit ugly, but I'm sure they'll still taste perfect. So I've got a piping bag here. This is like a nylon reusable one. You can get these from CupcakeJemma.com, and I've fitted it with a JEM 2R nozzle. If you don't know what language I'm speaking, just Google it and you'll come up with this nozzle, which is a great size for piping macarons, because it's not the kind of large round nozzle that we use for piping cupcakes. The mixture would come out too fast in this because it's quite runny. So I'm just going to pop this in here, and I've popped a clip on the end so it doesn't come out. Try and do this with one hand, scrape it all, and we'll give it a pour. Scoop that off. Just do as much as you can handle in one go. I would usually in the kitchen like press it up against a cupboard door to use that to scrape the rest of the piping bag, but I don't have that around me, and I'm not going to turn my back to you guys, that would be rude. So I'm just kind of putting the piping bag on the surface. It'd be easier with a clear one, but just give it a little swipe towards the end, just so you get rid of any air bubbles. Take this off, and then I better tell you about the baking trays, haven't I? So I've got some really big flat baking trays here, and I've made a little template as well, which if you joined the Bake Club, patreon.com/CupcakeJemma, you'll be able to find these templates on there. So you can download those and print them out for yourselves. If you're wondering kind of what size I always pipe them, you'll find them on there. So I've made a little guide for myself. I don't bake these every single day, so I like to just have a little guide as a security blanket, just to make sure they're all the same size. And then piping wise, what I'm going to do is keep the piping bag fully vertical, and well, I'll show you right now. So not too far from the baking tray, just like this, squeeze, 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 and then I just give a little kind of flourish, the same you would do as a cupcake. So I'm going to continue to pipe these, and then we'll tap them out to get rid of any air bubbles. The last one complete. But before, they're not ready to bake yet. If you've never made macarons before, you need to kind of tap them on the surface very rigorously. So if you have a little bit of frustration, get it out right now. This will just release any air bubbles that are in there, and then we can go over them with a cocktail stick and burst any ones that we can still see remaining. Noise incoming. Just like that. And I'll do the second tray, but you can see that it's kind of popped the majority of the bubbles. But what I'll do is just get a cocktail stick And any little ones like here, just give it a poke and then a wiggle to just reform there. So I've popped all the remaining air bubbles that I could see, and now we just need to let them form a skin. So if you've never baked macarons before, some recipes will say just bang them straight in the oven, but if you're worried that they might crack, let them form a skin, because that's kind of a security blanket that at least if they do crack, you'll know they won't crack because of that. So I'll leave them to form a skin. You can touch them on top, they'll be dry but still feel a bit pillowy underneath, and then I'm going to put them in the oven at 165 degrees and bake them for 12 minutes. Okay, so the macarons are cooled and baked, and I've paired them up. I mean, they should be all the same size. I used a template, but I've got one flipped this way and then one facing upright so that you can fill and then pop this one on top. So we're going to fill them with French buttercream flavored with pistachio paste. Now, you will have seen last week that I made my own pistachio paste, and here it is. So go check out that video to see how I made this delicious thing, and we're going to put it in some French buttercream. I made the French buttercream by putting some egg yolks into a stand mixer, whipping them until they're pale and fluffy. I made a sugar syrup by putting sugar and water into a pan over a medium-high heat, getting it to 114 degrees Celsius, then putting it with the whipping egg yolks and whipped it until it's cool. Added some really soft unsalted butter and whipped it until it's a nice fluffy buttercream, like so. So I've got this here, and I'm just going to add my pistachio paste. Now you can make this as pistachio-y as you would like, but I'm going to add, I think, about 4 tablespoons, and then we will go from there. So, spoon this in. And I'm not going to add any colouring to this because we want the nice natural colour from the pistachios to shine through. That is the best, it's the star of this recipe. So, and then I'll whip it up with my electric hand whisk just to get it nice and incorporated. It's all done. That looks pistachio-y enough for me. So just give it a mix around, and then I'm going to pop it into a piping bag and fill my shells. With this one, it's just fitted with the same nozzle that I used before, so a JEM2R, and pop it in. No clip required because it's not as runny as the macaron batter. So pop it in like this. And also, I added some salt to the pistachio paste, but give the buttercream a little taste and see if it needs any more salt, just to bring out the nutty flavour. There we go. So time to start filling. I'm just going to pipe a little blob and then pop the top on. Final one complete. How do these look? You tell me. I think they look great. The colours are amazing. The filling just looks so umptuous, and I really want to eat one. But I must tell you first, ideally you want to keep them in the fridge for overnight, just till they kind of soften and the shell and the filling become one. To become one. Why do I always end up singing? I don't know. Anyway, overnight is best. Keep them in the fridge for about a week then, and they also freeze really, really well. Just take them out about half an hour before you want to eat one. I'm going to eat one right now because I cannot wait. So good. That earthy, kind of subtly sweet, salty pistachio is delicious. And obviously, I would have put these in the fridge. The filling wouldn't have squashed out like this. It would stay nice and firm. But it's so good. The macaron is nice and chewy. And you can taste those pistachios in the shell as well, which is great. Because I really didn't want to make a shell that was the same as the other ones, but you just add some colouring. Because in my eyes, it's cheating a little bit. I don't want to cheat. So we made the paste, and we made a pistachio shell. I think these are epic. So I know you guys have made a couple of the recipes before, but please, give this one a go, and I hope that you have the confidence now to make macarons trillion times over. So don't forget to tag Cupcake Jemma, Crumbs and Doilies at Dane Pemberton. I want to see you make these pistachio macarons and your own nut paste as well. So give us some love on Instagram and share your pictures with us. And also don't forget to subscribe so you can see all of the uploads that we do on YouTube. Sometimes there'll be a Thursday, there'll always be a Thursday video, but sometimes there'll be a sneaky Tuesday one in there. So don't forget to subscribe to not miss any of those. And also, if you want to get the full downloadable PDF recipe of these, join our bake club, patreon.com/CupcakeJemma, and you can get a really nice printable, downloadable version that you can keep on your tablet, your phone, your laptop, and just whip it out whenever you need it. And it's got all the instructions there and some beautiful pictures as well. So I think that's it. Pistachio macarons, done. We'll see you next week for another video, and it's been great hanging out with you. Another one, I think.